These new songs, they're different, but they're the only thing making sense to me right now. The only thing I can still believe in.
Then we'll get it. Whatever it takes.
Congratulations on this film.
Thank you.
What I love about it is you have to juxtapose as an actor the larger than life persona with probably the most deep, intimate, layered internal stuff. So I want to talk about first the larger than life stuff.
Okay.
Scott uses the word swagger.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like when I was watching that opening scene, you had the swagger. It felt like you were lost in it. Did you feel that way as an actor when you were performing those songs?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky. I've seen Bruce Springsteen perform live a couple times, and I've certainly looked at a whole lot of concert footage and stuff like that. And, if he does one thing, it's he performs until he cannot anymore. I know that if he's leaving that stage, he has to be completely drained. There can't be anything left. So I knew how important it was to show that, exertion of energy. And then I had a real template to work from. In fact, for that Born to Run sequence, there was a performance in Tempe, Arizona. I think it was 1980 or 1979 or 1981, right around that time of when we were, making the movie or where the movie takes place, that I worked off of. And so, I was really lucky with those things where I did have a lot of footage and I had a lot of material to look at and go, okay, this is what I'm aiming for. Let me just try to get close to this. Those more private moments were a little bit more difficult because you just, that's more guesswork, and there's more freedom in it because nobody really knows what, people look like when they're alone in a room or what they're going through exactly. But it was also, these are real moments that happen in real rooms and I'm recreating them. And so there's a lot of weight to that.
I know he was there on set.
Yes.
Did you find that at a certain point, I'm sure there's that initial, Bruce is watching.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find any sort of comfort or what was sort of the overall having him there? Or was there something, not a note that he gave you, because I wouldn't think he would give you a note, but something that you just kind of locked into, maybe in one scene, one take, any feedback that was particularly useful to you?
You know what? I mean, he was helpful in the pre-production. We spoke a fair amount, and I spent some time with him and Patty and saw him perform in London. We spent a lot of time then, and we texted here and there. And he did give me permission in this really wonderful way. Early on, after I'd recorded some of his music, I think the first song he listened to was "Mansion on a Hill." And he called me and he said, you sing very well. You sound like me, but not just like me. You're making the song your own. And I want that to be the case with this whole film. And then, once we were on set, I became very sort of introverted, I was I was with Scott, or I was with my fellow actor, or I was staring at the ground, or I was staring at a wall somewhere, and I was thinking about the next day, and I was thinking about, what was going to be, what I was going to be called upon in the coming months. So I don't know, there was I felt very fragile, I guess, during the process of filming. And I think Bruce picked up on that, and he knows what that feels like. And he made it very clear, that he was there if I needed him. But that otherwise, he was going to give me a lot of space. But just in his presence, again, there was that permission, and support. And at the end of many days, and they were hard days, they were long and a lot of them emotionally draining or physically. And most days he was on set, I would get home, be getting ready to go to bed, and before I went to bed, I'd have a message on my phone from him about a particular moment that day that he found to be, I don't know, particularly true or honest.
Yeah, there's a line in the movie that says Bruce is never good when he's coming off the road, leaving it behind. I'm sure this was a seminal moment in your life as an artist. How was it for you leaving this behind at the end?
I'm very lucky, I've got 2 young girls at home. And I think there was a period in my life when I would try to finish a job, and maybe it was hard to shake, or maybe I would want to go back and like change it or do something again, and now I'm just like, I'm not afforded that, and it's probably for better. Like I go home and I see my daughters, and I'm like humbled and present, and I leave everything else outside, and yeah, it's very like simple in my life, at home with them. But there's always that thing, you finish a job, and it could be on the car ride home from work that day, or on the plane, going home from wherever you're at, where you're always like, well, what if I did that? Why didn't I think of this? And
I'm going to do that today with my questions.
Yeah, we all have that.
One last question.
Yeah.
Bruce is watching a film and it's kind of like a moment in his life, and it keys something for him. So if we did a biopic about your life, what movie are you watching that we're watching you watch that's really important to you or sort of changes you in a sense creatively?
I've been talking about it a little bit today. It's one of my favorite films. It's The Great Beauty by Paolo Sorrentino, and it's one of the first films I watched that just made me think about my life differently and the way I'm living it, and if there's changes to be made, and if I'll become an old man one day and have regrets, and yeah, that one was important to me. Yeah,
sounds kind of like this movie.
Yeah.
This is where you're meant to go.
You're absolutely luminescent in this film. Such an incredible performance, an incredible movie. I know you were a massive Bruce fan.
Oh yeah.
Like, when actors say like, oh, I'm a fan because I'm in the, you truly are. So let's ditch because I am too.
Oh, great.
So because I always feel like there's that one lyric that speaks to your soul. What is the lyric, Bruce's lyric for you, or the song?
It's really hard to choose, and there's so many lyrics. I think I'm not sure if there's ever one if I have one lyric that is my favorite, but I think in terms of the lyricism of certain songs, there's so much in like Jungle Land that breaks my heart. I always wanted to like make a movie based on that song because it's so cinematic and it's so complete. Ain't no sin to be glad you're alive is just like a perfect sentiment. There's so much.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Has your dad met Bruce? I need to know.
My dad met Bruce.
Okay, how did that go? Where was it? When was it in the filming process?
It was on set. He came to set to visit me, and we were on set at the house, at Faye's house, in Bayonne, was where that set was. And I didn't even know that I was gonna, like, I knew that Bruce was gonna be on set. I didn't know where he was gonna be. I didn't know if I was even gonna see him. So I kind of brought my dad to set and introduced him to our wonderful producers, and and then Bruce was there. And I kind of went, all right, now like this is it. My dad's here.
Happening.
It's happening. This is just happening. And I walked up and said hi to Bruce, and then I introduced him to him. It was just, it was great. It was just great. It was exactly what it should have been.
What is the thing? Because I have my icons, and I think I've met most of them. And there's always that one thing that you notice about them that you don't notice when they're performing. Was there something with meeting Bruce that sort of stood out to you? Like, oh, he's more shy, or he's more,
he's very soft-spoken. He's a consummate gentleman. He's like a regular guy. It's really amazing to see. He feels, like a family man. Like, he talks about his kids and his wife and his beautiful life that he's created for himself. And he seems really settled and happy, and like, he's just like a nice guy.
Well, speaking of A Beautiful Life, I feel like Faye, what I love about this film is I feel like everybody feels very lived in. Nothing feels like, oh, this is a set, or we're trying to create a time period. It feels very authentic.
Yeah.
I feel like her relationship with her child, it feels authentic. Her love for him feels authentic. Well, let's start with, there's the carousel scene where your character, Faye, meets or having a date with Bruce. And it almost feels like it's in slow motion. The way that the carousel moves up and down. And it's also a very hot scene. So if you could sort of break down shooting that and the intimacy and, what the director created.
Yeah.
For it to feel that way.
I mean, I think that Scott is a genius. I think that Mas, our cinematographer, is a genius. I think that they've worked together so much and have this language that they share that is so effortless. And I think that took care of that, you know, that like that's why the scene feels so beautiful. And then, I don't know, it's kind of this weird thing that happens on the day where things start to feel like you kind of get onto something and it feels good, and so you keep following that path. And you know, Jeremy and I found ourselves in this space and choreographing this kind of waltz around the carousel and then onto the carousel. And you know, I think it is a testament to our professionalism that we even got one version of the kiss that wasn't laughing, because it was kind of like very strange to be in these moving in the seats while trying to make out. But I think, yeah, I don't know, it just felt good. Like, it just felt nice, and it felt romantic, and it felt like this sweet, sweet date. And obviously we know where it goes. You know, we read the script. We know how their story ended up, but it was nice to have that kind of pocket where we just got to play happy.
Yeah. I loved it because I always feel like there's also that thing where women are romanticizing and men are just like, I'm just off for her. Like, there's almost like a bit of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's thinking something else from her.
Yeah.
You also, Faye is watching Jeremy's character, Bruce, at the Stone Pony.
Mm.
And I'm wondering for your perspective, because I felt like when he was performing, you got to have a chutzpah to play this. And I feel like he got lost in the performance. It felt so alive and electric. So what were those days like? And
I just got to be like at a cool show.
Yeah.
Really, like it was so much fun to be on set on those days, because the band was playing. They had some amazing musicians playing in the Cats, and then Jeremy, who had been doing such an incredible job, incredible training to be Bruce on stage, was just letting it all hang out. It just felt like being at a great concert.
So he was singing live on set. It wasn't one of those where everybody's miming and you're sort of going like
no.
Yeah.
Especially those Stone Pony scenes, they were playing for real. They were going for it.
Wow.
And the background were all sweaty and jumping around and probably, secretly drinking alcohol in between takes. Like, it felt like a party. It was amazing.
So fun.
Yeah.
In the film, Jeremy's character, Bruce, is watching the movie Badlands. Mm-hmm. And it kind of sparks something in him, and it sort of starts this whole train of going down the road of writing Nebraska. If we were going to have a biopic about your life, what's the seminal movie?
About Odessa's life?
Yes.
What do I watch?
Yeah, what are you watching that we're going to watch you watch?
Wow. That's big. Big question. Oh, there's so many. There's so many movies that I have watched obsessively. I think that the movie that I have watched that made me feel the kind, like, in the way that Badlands kind of locked Bruce into this obsession with kind of the criminality of the self. I think that my version of that is probably A Woman Under the Influence, just watching it so much, watching this character go through such a joyous and exuberant but terrifying time all in the course of however long that movie is. I've spent certain times obsessed with that and like wondering what that movie says about me, that I don't think she's crazy at all.
It just means you're an artist. That's all.
Thanks.
I wonder, as like when I close my eyes and I think about Bruce Springsteen, there is like an album cover that always comes to mind, like Born in the USA. I got to see him do it in acoustic performance when I was a kid.
Oh, cool.
And that stays in my mind. So I like these pictures. What is the picture in your mind maybe you had before, and what is the picture now?
The picture for me is the cover of Darkness on the Edge of Town. It's him in the bedroom with the white V-neck and is it a white V-neck or is it a black V-neck? Oh, now I'm having like a Mandela effect. I think that's like an iconic image of Bruce in my mind. And that era of his work is, I think, probably what I have known more and what has kind of captured my interest more. And I think it's probably still the same. Or at least, no, now my image of him is as he is now.
Yeah.
Now I think when I think
He's a
about
great
Bruce, I
haircut
think
now, by the way. Last question.
He's always so impeccable.
Yes, absolutely. Last question for you. You're so young. I feel like this is going to be a breakout role for you. Is there an actor and actress whose career you kind of look at and go, I love their choices. I love what they're doing?
There's a lot. I think that for as long as I have never seen a Jennifer Lawrence performance that I haven't like been bowled over. I think that what she does is witchcraft. I think it's spectacular. I think if I could achieve half of the real like presence and poignance of her work, I would be very happy.
And she's funny as heck.
And she's funny as hell. And she's, according to everything I've heard, just a lovely person. And I think she's cool. She's cool.
He's gonna repair the entire world. Trying to find something real in all the noise. You always do.
I'm in love with this film.
Oh my God.
Madly in love with it.
Thank you, Nikki.
I'm wondering for you, this idea of doing Nebraska and that particular point in his life. I know you're a huge fan. Your idea to focus in on that. And was it sort of like your Nebraska convincing people, like, I've got to do this for me creatively? Like,
Yes.
This is the thing. This is the period of time we're telling it, and I'm convinced of it.
I thought it was the only way to tell a Bruce Springsteen film. For the casual Bruce fan, they may not know Nebraska. Certainly his ardent fans know Nebraska.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends who were musicians, for them, Nebraska is their North Star. My father, to whom I dedicated the film, introduced Bruce Springsteen to me through Nebraska. It's a record I've listened to while I'm writing other movies, well before I thought I would make this. My very first film was a music film called Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges. And that's a movie that found, a bit of success. And in Hollywood, when any movie meets with success, all they want you to do is make movies just like the one you just made. And I was asked to make a lot of biopics about musicians I loved. And I had turned them all down. But when I read Warren Zanes' book, Deliver Me from Nowhere, about Nebraska, it felt like a siren's call to me that I had to tell this story. Here I am in the Stone Pony, where we shot, and where Bruce Springsteen has probably played more than any place he's ever played.
He's a cinephile, isn't he?
Oh, he knows movies.
What are the movies that you two bonded over or discussed when you were discussing
Well, he'd certainly
this?
seen all of my films
Yeah.
and had appreciated them, which meant a lot to me. We both share a love of 70s cinema, early Scorsese, Paul Schrader, we discussed in the film, Michael Mann's films. We both love foreign language cinema, international cinema. We both love Terrence Malick's Badlands, which is in the movie.
Yeah.
We love Charles Lawton's Night of the Hunter. We both love Flannery O'Connor. Seemed destined to make a film about Bruce Springsteen.
It's unbelievable. What is the lyric of Bruce's? Is there a lyric that you feel defines? Because I always feel like with artists that I love, there's always that one lyric. And for me, it's "You've gone a million miles, but how far'd you get?" And everybody has their own interpretation of.
That's funny you said that.
Really?
Why did you say that?
Because I have my own interpretation of what that means. Like, personally, as far as you go, you're sort of met with yourself back where you started.
That's a lot of what this movie is.
Yeah.
For that very reason. It's funny that you say that, because, I mean, look, at some point, I perhaps somebody will make a film about maybe Bruce Springsteen from cradle to grave. But I thought and I'm glad that you chose that lyric. Even though this is a very specific and narrow time in his life, I thought that I could capture really Bruce's life, only focusing on Nebraska, because it's a film about a neglected soul repairing itself through music. It's about a man with the courage, an artist with the courage to look inward, to write what I think is his most personal and enduring work. I think there are lyrics from Atlantic City. There are lyrics from My Father's House, lyrics from Nebraska that I could choose that really sum up who Bruce Springsteen is. it would almost be doing a disservice to everything. That's an incredibly hard conversation,
Yeah.
but I feel like you
You
know.
said somebody's going to do Cradle to Grave. We're waiting for your cinematic universe. There could be a sequel to this.
Well, I mean, look, let's see how this does when this opens October 24th. But hey, if they can make 4 Beatles movies, which they're doing, I think we can. There's plenty of Bruce Springsteen stories
Yeah.
that I think I'd like to tell. Let's see if audiences, let's see if they get up off the sofa, come to the cinema again. I know my kids love going to the movies. I know kids now love cassettes, and I know they love vinyl. I think we're all craving to distance ourselves from this very digital and artificial world that we're living in, because Bruce Springsteen is so authentic and so real that I recommend going to see this film.
I
If
do
nothing
too.
more than just trying to escape this artifice that we're all living in every day, and to escape for 1 hour and 52 minutes and be moved by a man who speaks to all of us and is so relatable and so human.
You know when you had me? When there was a shot of the radio and it said Pioneer. And when you talk about authenticity,
Did that take you back?
takes you back. But it felt, I said this to Odessa, it feels like a lived-in movie. It feels like the actors have really lived in those houses, walked down those streets
Thank
a
you.
million times. Wondering for you, and when I think about this, and the performances are incredible, don't get me wrong, but what I take away from this movie, if I think of one snapshot, it's him laying on the ground and you're sort of shooting from above him, and it's very introspective. So how did you create something visually that matched the tone of the film?
Thank you for saying that. Well, generally, when you tell a musical biopic, it's about spectacle, and this film is anything but spectacle. It's about introspection. It's about Bruce's anguish, his tormented inner life. How do you make that cinematic? Well, number one, you cast Jeremy Allen White with an intensity and a vulnerability that's rare for an actor of his age. But it's really about artistic courage that Bruce Springsteen has in allowing me to tell the story, because Bruce said to me, he said, the truth about yourself isn't always very pretty. And, Scott, you don't pull your punches with your movies. You don't sand off the edges. Let's tell the truth here. And let's tell the truth about not the spectacle, not playing in arenas or at the Stone Pony, even though we see that.
Yeah.
But the real truth is about a man in pain, and a man who's trying to get through that pain by connecting and reconnecting with his past and his father. So thanks for saying that.
What is the mannerism? Because there was one shot where nobody's going to do an imitation, right? You don't want him to do Jamie to do an imitation
No,
of Bruce.
it wasn't
but there
about
was
imitation or
one-
mimicry.
But there was
But there are a few
one-
moments that look
Yes.
really, he captures Bruce.
Was there a mannerism or something that is so Bruce? Like he's just himself. But there was one facial expression where I completely
Oh yeah,
was
there are a
like,
few
that
moments
was him.
when even Patty Scalfa, Bruce's
Yeah.
longtime love of his life, has said to Bruce that, my God, it looks like you in '82. I think it's the way, I think Jeremy moves like Bruce in the film. I think there are moments during Born in the USA from behind when he feels like Bruce, when he's performing Born to Run. There are moments when he's recording Nebraska. I mean, it's kind of uncanny.
Yeah.
And again, we weren't chasing imitation or mimicry. It was really about how do we capture the essence of Bruce Springsteen, which he certainly does.
And you have no villains in this film, which
No.
is interesting because other biopics I've seen recently, and not to take anything away from them, but usually the manager is somebody who's trying to take somebody.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the two non-villains in this film, and that the other Jeremy and
Jeremy
Stephen.
Strong. Wow. Well, Jeremy Strong and Stephen Graham are both doing such high-level work.
Unreal.
I've known them both for a long time. Had worked with Jeremy Strong in a previous film in which a sequence he was in was cut. Stephen Graham, in that same film, Black Mass, Stephen Graham was meant to be in the film, but my schedule didn't align with his. So I'm thankful that they're both in this. Jeremy Strong plays John Landau, Bruce's longtime manager and partner and therapist, as I mentioned. It's a very different Jeremy Strong because we have seen Jeremy in the past as Kendall Roy and Roy Cohn, where he's venal and calculating, callous, and devoid of humanity. In this, he's warm, he's compassionate, he can be a fierce protector when he needs to be. Then there's Stephen Graham, whom we've just seen to great acclaim on Adolescence. And he plays the quiet despair that Bruce's father was living with for so long, the despair of mental anguish and mental health trauma that went undetected for so long, untreated for so long. He was cold and dispassionate, but we also see moments that are tender and warm from Stephen Graham as Bruce's father. And look, when you have Stephen Van Sant or you have John Landau or Bruce's family say, Stephen Graham perfectly captured my father, or Stephen Van Sant saying Jeremy Strong and Jeremy Allen White perfectly captured John and Bruce. I mean, who better than the people who've lived with them almost their entire lives? And for me, that's the great gift and reward.
Yeah. You burned it down. Borrowing a
Burned it
phrase from
down.
the film, you burned it down.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
That means so much to me. Thank you.